You will not believe this. Dr. Phil has never been one to shy away from controversial topics, but lately he's been going after woke culture and it's driving them crazy. In this no-nonsense style, Dr. Phil is calling out the contradictions and absurdities of these ideologies, making for some truly unforgettable moments. Today we'll be covering some of them, and he actually has a solution that I'll share with you at the end of the video. But before I go on with the video, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell for more discussions just like this.
We have the First Amendment protecting free speech, and we're muzzling each other. It's not the government coming in and taking it away, right? It's now we're muzzling each other. You say something I don't like, and we will attack you. We will cancel you. We will get you fired. We will get you labeled as a hater. We will get you labeled as phobic, whatever. And you'll wear the scarlet letter and be unacceptable anymore.
What he's implying here is that the woke culture has become a direct assault on the First Amendment rights of many Americans, particularly when it comes to free speech. The beauty of the First Amendment is that it allows people to express their thoughts, opinions, and beliefs freely, whether or not those ideas are popular. But in today's climate, if someone expresses an opinion that doesn't align with the woke narrative, they're immediately met with attempts to silence, shame, or cancel them. This growing trend is disturbing because it's not about open dialogue anymore, but it's about controlling what people are allowed to say. This form of cultural policing is dangerous because it pushes people into silence, making it impossible for ideas to evolve through civil debate and discussion. Dr. Phil takes this idea and applies it to what we're seeing here on the internet, and he reaches an interesting conclusion.
The whole idea is that the internet, for example, should be like a town square, right? Mm-hmm. You should be able to talk about whatever you want to talk about and have an exchange of ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. It doesn't work that way. When you put out something that is at odds with the agenda is intolerant when you're dealing with these activists.
That's absolutely correct. The woke mob doesn't just agree with people, it seeks to punish those who don't toe the line. If someone voices a view that doesn't fit the approved narrative, they risk losing their job, reputation, and standing in society. The aim isn't to have a discussion or even a debate, it's to enforce conformity by making the cost of disagreement too high. He also explores this during one of his shows. To be showcased a collection of phrases that are canceled by today's standards, but a woke woman tried to push back and explain why saying mom and dad was offensive to her.
We have a graphic of words or phrases that now you can't say. You can't say that. I mentioned a few of them before, and I'm just curious. Some of these maybe are obvious, but if you know why some of these are on the list now.
Mom and dad, I see why that would be up there.
So why would mom and dad be up there?
I have a daughter with another woman, and when it's being taught in school that, that's just the norm, that it's just mom and dad, it kind of offends us because we are lesbians, you know what I mean? We come from the community, and it makes us feel like we're not important enough to be called mom and mom or parents.
The idea that phrases like mom and dad should be canceled or replaced in the name of inclusivity is completely insane. In fact, I'm actually adopted. I don't even know my own birth parents, but I think that's crazy. It's a prime example of how woke culture in its quest for inclusivity actually ends up excluding the majority. Most people grow up with a mom or a dad or both, and those words carry deep meaning. This kind of forced language change isn't just unnecessary, it's intrusive. People shouldn't be told what words to use when describing their own family. Make sure to drop a like, by the way, if you agree. If someone has a mom and dad, they should be able to say so without feeling like they're somehow being insensitive or politically incorrect. Again, it's about personal freedom, not erasing or censoring specific ones to fit a narrow view or ideology. And Dr. Phil left this woman speechless because he explained this exact same idea.
So should I stop saying that?
No, not you.
Because you're mom and mom?
No, not you per se. I'm just saying as far as it's being taught.
Anybody. If that was our experience, yours is mom and mom, I'm happy to say mom and mom, but why would mom and dad be on the don't say list?
It's
Ironically, while the goal of these changes is to be more inclusive, it actually alienates many people by trying to please a small vocal minority. It ignores the lived experiences of the majority who use terms such as mom and dad naturally in their daily lives. You see, no one is denying that family structures are diverse. There's single-parent homes, same-sex parents, blended families, adopted people like me, but that diversity should be celebrated without trying to erase traditional family structure that most people are familiar with. Canceling mom and dad does nothing to advance inclusivity, it just creates unnecessary division by forcing people to conform to a new set of rules that don't reflect the reality of most families. The idea is so absurd to me, and I think that we'd be in a far better place as a country if we just discussed issues that mattered and have real-world consequence, instead of focusing on how the English language is affecting people's feelings with everything they say. Dr. Phil also explains how cancel culture has developed to become something that doesn't represent any of our values. Just watch what he said next.
Somebody that says something on Twitter or says something in an interview that is offensive to some group, and all of a sudden you start reading the messages they get, it's like, I hope you get ass cancer and die, you son of a... I'll cut your throat, I'll come to your house and kill your children. Are you kidding me? It's like, boycott this person, boycott this company. Where did we get to this? Now they're canceling each other. It should be counsel culture, not cancel culture.
It's really interesting how instead of addressing disagreements or mistakes with reason and dialogue, cancel culture has now devolved into insults, online mobbing, and even threats to those targeted. And the numbers are there to back this claim too. The New York Post reported that, quote, more than 1,000 campaigns to get professors punished for their free speech have occurred in the last decade. About 2/3 of those campaigns succeeded, and almost 2 professors ended up being fired or forced out. What started as a movement to hold people accountable has turned into a toxic environment where anyone can be canceled for a single misstep or unpopular opinion. It's no longer about learning or growth, it's about erasing someone from the public sphere if they don't immediately get it. But Dr. Phil is not just all nagging, because he has a solution to deal with this problem.
People start assassinating character, it's because their ideas won't withstand challenge. This cancel culture bullshit. Cancel culture should be counsel culture. If you say something that's offensive to my values, I should counsel with you about it, not cancel you, not get everybody to hate you.
Yep, what we really need is a shift towards counsel culture where instead of jumping straight into cancellation, we engage in open dialogue. Imagine a culture where people, instead of being condemned and cut off, are invited into discussions to understand their mistakes, grow from them, and even offer their perspectives. I'm not talking about a fairy tale place here, because that's where we were just a couple of decades ago. It's a step from the hostile environment we currently see, one where the mob rules and free speech is attacked. We should be moving toward a society where people can be held accountable in a constructive way, rather than just tearing them down throughout threats and insults. Phil also has a final piece of advice that we should start taking into account.
I'm trying to get people to examine themselves and get back to the core values that they really hold near and dear, and not give too much attention to the loudest voice. Mm-hmm. The loudest voice oftentimes is the shrill, fringe voices that are trying to rewrite history, biology, science, economies, all of these sort of things that they have no basis for what they're peddling. It's just that's how they want it to be.
In today's world, the loudest voices try to dictate how society should think, act, and even speak. These voices often come from social media influencers, activists, and media outlets, representing a small but vocal minority that amplifies their views to seem more widely accepted than they are. Whether it's pushing extreme political ideologies or trying to control the words that we can and cannot use, this small group tries to control the narrative and impose their beliefs on everyone else. According to a study by Pew Research Center, only about 10% of Twitter users create 80% of the content. And this alone shows that the loudest voices are not representative of the general population, but have a disproportionately large influence. Another Cato Institute survey was conducted earlier this year found that 62% of Americans are afraid to voice their political views for fear of retaliation. That's a scary statistic if you ask me, and what are your thoughts on this? Let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below, and please don't forget to share with your friends so they can stay informed too.